Welcome to the Outlander Unhinged podcast, where we talk deep dives, wild theories, and the heart of Outlander. I'm Doreen.
I'm Liz.
I'm Jenny.
And I'm Katie. Grab your snacks, Sassenachs. It's time to talk about Outlander. Now, today's episode is going to be a continuation of our last episode. And we know things got a little heated, and they probably will today as well. But we always respect and love each other and find a healthy debate to be quite fun. So, on that note, Jenny, do you want to introduce today's topic?
I feel like that was directed at me specifically for Jenny. Like, I'm feeling zeroed in on already. Today's topic is the onions, the mushrooms, and the hard nuts of Outlander, part 2.
I'm nervous about this one, honestly, but I guess the best thing to do is just dive right in. So today, Jenny and Liz will be presenting and defending their character choices. And as a reminder, each character is sorted into one of 3 categories: a mushroom, an onion, or a hard nut. Onions are characters who reveal themselves slowly in layers and change and grow throughout the story, much like the peeling of an onion. Hard nuts are characters you're stuck with, whose main purpose is driving the plot and never grow or change. Mushrooms are characters that just pop up in the story, usually become fan favorites, and that's about it. So now that we've recapped that, Jenny, would you like to start first?
Yes, and my first choice is actually a book character who appears in the later books. I actually chose this before we got feedback of choosing women, so I'm kind of happy with that. And I've gone ahead and I've picked Dottie. She appears in some of the novellas and later books. What would you say, Doreen? 6, 7, 8, and 9?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So at this point, we're going to have Katie and Liz mute themselves because they're not at that part in the book yet, and we don't want to spoil it for them. So this discussion, it won't be as long. We want to leave a lot of room for the later characters. I'm just saying. So if you guys would mute yourself, this will be a little conversation between Doreen and I.
You guys can just be mimes in the background, try to figure out what we're saying.
All right. So let's start with Dottie. Dottie is the niece of Lord John Grey, the daughter of Minnie, and Hal, Lord John Grey's brother, the Duke of Pardlow. She shows up with a storyline that has to do with William, and it reminds me of this story, and this is where my memory gets fuzzy. She is trying to come to America under the ruse that she's going to marry William. Do I have that
Yes,
right?
correct.
Okay. So, did she already know Denzel at that point?
She did. She met him when he was studying in London.
Okay. So,
and that's when they fell in love.
Okay, so her ruse is to get there. She knows that her family won't be happy with it, and she gets there by come hell or high water. And the reason I'm going to call her a mushroom is because I think I have a feeling you're going to call her an onion. And I could be wrong, but I do think that's where you're going to go with her. I see her as a very strong-willed person. And when she has something set in her mind, she just does it. I don't know that I really see her expanding upon that. Now, when she goes to the United States and she winds up marrying Denzel, she converts to become a Quaker. And although that is a change to who she is as a person, I feel like she's such a strong-willed woman that if this is what she wants in her life is to be married to Denzel, this is what she's going to do. I don't know that she is going into becoming a Quaker, as I strongly believe in these beliefs, but this is what is important to my husband, so I am willing to give this part of myself to him. I don't know that I see that as growth versus this is who she is and she's just strong-willed that way.
Like,
what do you
that's
think?
Her personality. Okay.
Yes, and I actually have that written here. I have kind of just like some notes going on.
I actually quite a bit written on her. Do you want me to read you what I wrote?
Ahead. Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
So now I actually agree with you. I did start out having Dottie as a mushroom, and I kind of mostly for all the points that you just gave, but you're right. I did put her as an onion. And it's because I thought I had her figured out, but I didn't.
Okay.
And it excites me. It's kind of the whole point of her character is that she continues to surprise me, and that's why she's an onion. I see her as constantly revealing new layers of herself, and it's not
Okay.
told to us, it's being shown to us, and she's opening up and letting more of us in. Let me try to think about, if I was going to describe her, I would say she's interesting. And I was
I love
actually
her.
thinking about this because you and I talk about this all the time, but it is so sad to me how many characters in the Outlander books are
Oh my
just
God.
left out of the show. And
It broke my heart during season 7 when I really expected her to show up and she wasn't there. Like she, because I see her as a mushroom, she just randomly pops up and I'm like, oh my God, it's Dottie in the book. Oh my God, here she is again. And I
yeah.
can't wait to find out what's going on. And when she didn't show
Mhm.
up in the show, it left a hole for me.
I agree. I get it because the show can't tackle the storylines. It's impossible. There's too many. But
Yes.
I found it that the characters that are so layered or you really love and get you're screaming at the TV, why would you leave this character out? And for me that was Dottie.
Yeah.
I just get so sad thinking about the fact that people who never read the books will just never meet Dottie. Uh,
And we see so much online about people saying, "Oh, we really wish Denzel had a love interest," and you want to scream, "He does! He has a love interest. He gets married and he's happy, and this is such a great storyline." And
Oh, I
we,
get so upset when I start thinking about it. Honestly. I
but I
just
do. She's one of my favorites. She just has, I picture her, and I don't remember how she's pictured in the books, but I think of her as this tiny little blonde with really big hair. And she's
mhm.
just, this is what I'm doing. And if this is what I have to do it, I'm going to do it. She's very set in her ways. So you could even almost argue that she'd be a nut, but I do think there is a little bit more to her, so I'd rather label her as a mushroom, and maybe we'll see more of her in the last
See,
book. I really hope
okay.
we do.
I disagree, and I want to tell you why I put her as an onion. I want to give you the reasonings that I
Yeah,
have because I'm interested to see if you can see it. And when you picked her, I spent a lot of time thinking about her because first of all, I wanted to bring her to life for people who haven't met her in the show and may never. It's one thing to be like, okay, this is the daughter of Hal, this is the niece to
right.
Lord John. You would
Big
think,
deal.
and this is where she starts changing is when I first met her, I think she's everything that a Grey would be. You start thinking,
Yes.
okay, you're categorizing her, you first meet her, it's a christening, she's a freaking infant, she pops up out of nowhere. And you can see even then, even when she was just that tiny baby, she's pretty sassy. She's got her little
Yes.
personality intact. But again, I thought she's a Grey. She's going to be British. She's steeped in honor and tradition and religion. She's predictable. I thought she was there to move Lord John Grey's plot forward, so she was a
Right.
mushroom. But then there was just this defining moment when she was freaking bam. She came at me out of left field, and I thought, this woman surprises me all the time. Just when I think I have her figured out, she kind of does something different. And yes, she's strong-willed and she's sassy. And she sends the letter to William, and I never saw her doing that. Never saw her going so against her father, the tradition, and just being this badass, fiercely independent. I have my own mind, but I'm also very devious. And
Right.
I
Well,
feel it was revealed to us. First, you see the letter, and William's telling Lord John, "Yeah, I deflowered her under a tree." What? No, 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 absolutely not.
just say
And
this: when you find out, when you start putting the pieces together about who she is, and you realize who her mother is,
yeah,
it makes total sense of why
yes,
she's devious, or I don't even want to call it, because devious gives like a bad tone to me.
but it's devious
She's
in a good way for
clever.
what she
She's clever.
wants.
Yes.
Yes, yes,
Yep.
yeah. But the thing
I
is,
would.
she surprises you. She starts gaining layers as you're reading. The more she shows up, the more we see depth of her character. Like I said, when she sent the letter to William and falling in love with a Quaker, a doctor in the
Right.
colonies who she met in London, she gets William to deceive his father. She's deceiving
Right.
her father. She's showing it to us. It's not really being told to us. Like we're seeing it and we're seeing her develop into something totally different than
Did she
we
develop,
thought.
or was she a product of her mother?
I mean, either way, it's layers of her as she's growing and evolving, she's shedding her family
I can see it.
responsibilities. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of almost she's becoming herself because of love. She's shedding maybe it is her story is an onion because I thought I had her figured out, and then as more and
Okay.
more is revealed, I kind of looked at her, okay, she's very British. And now all of a sudden she went from all these beliefs, all these things, and she's like a freaking Quaker living in the colonies. Like she's
Right.
giving me whiplash.
Total 180 to who she was.
Yeah, like she
Absolutely.
evolves. And I'd argue when Denny gets captured and she's with him at
Hmm.
Stony Point, and then, they
Yep.
lose the baby. In that time
Heartbreaking.
too, that's a whole different thing because she kind of she has this strength that she exhibits during that time that I didn't really see in her, and a bravery. And when
Right.
they go to hide out with Ben, she kind
Yep.
of just becomes this strong, almost I'm my husband
Protector.
being.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's every time she's there, she's developing more and more and more, showing us more.
And
And
look,
I just
I could probably give you an argument for every character in Outlander to be an onion. So
yeah.
I did go from mushroom to onion to mushroom
Yeah.
again. So there's always a little room to see the character growth. But like I said, I just see her as like, all right, so now I'm in love, and this is what I have to do, and I'm just going to go do it. And if that means that I have to
Yeah.
deceive, this is yeah. So we're probably at like an
Yeah.
impasse. I can see your side, and you can
I can
understand.
definitely I can definitely see yours too. But I just think the way when I'm thinking about the characters, which is my own personal thing, if someone surprises me, if the things that they do go in a way that I didn't think their character was being developed, to me that's a new layer, and they're shedding layers and they're an onion.
Okay.
To me, a hard nut is somebody who does not ever change their motivations, and a mushroom is somebody who pops up to kind of, and we fall in love with them, but their main purpose is just to kind of drive other characters' plot forward,
Right.
if that makes sense. And
No,
but with
absolutely.
her, she's kind of there to be a parallel to Minnie in my mind, and
Yes.
also to kind
Absolutely.
of show us like how much more there is to these grays, if that makes
Yes.
any sense.
Yeah, no, totally. And look, I absolutely adore her. She's got a personality that literally leaps off the pages, and
Yep. I love
it's
her.
exciting to see her. And I really hope if you haven't read the books that jump to like book 7. It doesn't matter. Just get in there. That's where we are in the show.
Yes.
Start there. Like, don't make it so rigid that you have to read them in order. We already kind of know the basis of the story. So if you're excited to hear that how excited we are about these characters, jump in where we are. It doesn't make a difference. We'll go
Yes.
back and read them again with you. Not a problem.
Yep,
But yeah, I love
exactly.
Dottie. I absolutely love her. Yeah, I don't know. We were talking before about who maybe you identify with. And although I don't think I identify with her completely, I would say in my life, that's kind of how I am. Oh, this is what has to be done. I don't think about it emotionally.
I
This is
could
what I
see
have to
it.
do. And I'm going to go get it done without thinking. Yeah. So kind of interesting, but I do. I love
And she's
her.
a
And
little
like I said,
blonde, just like you,
I'm
a little
right.
blonde.
I'll set like a little like that. I'll get some of my pictures out, from 30 years ago that maybe I looked like that. But
Oh
all
my
right, so I
gosh.
guess that's what we have for Dottie. And
Yes, I
should we
just
bring
texted
you?
the girls and told them that they're good to
Excellent.
come back in. So
Excellent.
I think the games are about to begin. See, me and you, we both love Dottie. That was an easy one.
That was an easy one. We figured we'd start you all out like we'll ease you into this whole process today.
Yeah, because nothing from this point on is going to be easy, I don't think.
No, it's not. It's not. Oh my gosh.
Okay, we brought Katie and Liz back in. So, Jenny, you want to go ahead and present your first controversial character?
Why are we calling him controversial? You know who
Because
it
he
is.
is. We
He's
can
my
call him something
favorite.
else if you
If
want.
we put this up, he's Dougal. All right, so
Oh,
I'm going to start with this. I do think he's a nut. What I am going to say
Always a
is, do
nut.
you guys know anything about Brazil nuts?
do
Do
I
you
know
know
anything
anything
about
about
what?
Brazil nuts?
Oh, here we go.
So
She's gonna pull
when you
something out
have
of her freaking butt to try to make Dougal seem likable. All right, go ahead.
so, so when you have a mixed can of nuts, and that means you got your cashews, your peanuts, you got your Brazil nuts. When you shake that can of nuts, even though the Brazil nut is the heaviest, it rises to the top.
Oh boy.
So it just gives them an added layer of what a nut actually is. So, all right, so I'm just going to read what I've got here. All right.
Same.
Right?
That's
Isn't that
interesting,
interesting?
but
I thought
Dougal,
so too.
listen, it's interesting, but Dougal never rises to the top ever. No.
All right.
Go ahead, I love
And look,
you.
honestly, you will not change my opinion on him. This is how I see him. And that's not meant to like challenge. This is how I see him as a character. All right.
Fair point.
We often hear people call him a narcissist, but that label that never appears in the books. It's in the show. Claire never calls him that. She does point out personality traits, and I would argue that, go ahead.
Just because I would like to review something, just because Claire never calls him a narcissist in the book, I would argue he's still a narcissist in the book, and that they all see it, they just don't label it.
So
That's
what I
okay.
had been saying was Claire does point out his personality traits.
Oh, okay,
So,
love you. See,
but
I interrupted
I
you.
but I'd argue that anyone in a position of power during that era, especially a war chief, would share similar traits. The term narcissist to me, and this is just in society today, I think it gets thrown around too many times, like without really understanding like what some of the core things about narcissism are. So let's go here. My first impression of Dougal was absolutely swayed by Graham. You know, how do you not fall in love with that man on screen? He commands a presence, he's a good looking guy, and I have a soft spot for him. So I also like when I'm reading the books, I love being able to take the show characters and put them in the books now. Like that to me gives me another layer of how I can, how I like the character, how I can figure them out. So let me see. I
And
think we
he's
can all
like
agree.
physically different in the
Eh,
books too, which is
Absolutely. So he's got hair. It's dark. He's very soft spoken, and that is the complete opposite of what Graham portrays on the screen. So I think, like a lot of characters, when you start the show first, and that's at least I know for Liz, Katie, and I know Doreen started the books first, you wind up getting the show impression very much instilled in your mind versus the book. And it's hard to switch that. I'm trying to switch that now, but so the TV show does overshadow the book version in people's memories. The casting department, fabulous job. So, for the clan to be successful, you need a leader people want to follow. Dougal really doesn't have a problem gathering men to support him at any given moment. We've even seen them lean into that a little bit in Blood of My Blood. Like the minute he says, let's go, the men are like, charge right into the woods. So, I think this narrative of men not wanting him to be followed is kind of pushed by Column to weaken Dougal. Like, remember, you can't have anybody follow you, yet he's in the middle of the woods and people are following him wherever he wants to go. So, when it comes to his participation in the second Jacobite Rising, we don't know how that's going to unfold yet because we don't have the books. And I'm trying not to lean into Blood of My Blood, but 20 years later, he still doesn't have a problem with getting men to follow him and to bring to the battlefield. So, it could not have gone that poorly that he was ostracized from the clan. All right. So
But do you think, can I just
yeah,
put a
go ahead.
question in?
Absolutely. Yep.
Do you think that it was only a small group of loyal men that followed him, though? Like, I feel Column's argument was that, yes, Dougal had loyal people right there within his clan that always went to war with him. But the bigger
Right.
problem was he couldn't get the masses in other clans. He couldn't be political and he couldn't be savvy to bring people to his cause because of the fact that he could never see past his own, I don't want to say characteristics, but really it is like everything he does, he never thinks about the big picture or anyone else.
Okay. So
Which
to me, who is the person who is sharing that information? It would be Column. He would
no,
be the
I just think
person
it's
that would be going to.
visible.
Sure, it's visible, but if because you're looking at Dougal and you're looking that he's a womanizer and that he's big and brash and he's known for fighting, but the conversations between the clans is always going to be from Column to the other clans. So if you wanted to make sure people knew your authority was word, wouldn't you kind of try to diminish the person who is like the person who's coming after that seat of power? You would
can
try
I
to
give an
diminish them in other people's eyes. Absolutely, Katie, go ahead.
I just have an example. I don't know why I have an obsession with this part of the books. It's so exciting to me. I cannot wait for Diana to put out the prequels. I'm just like itching for them. Anyway, we know in Outlander, Malcolm and Ellen in the garden, all this, that story, she says something to him, he gets so mad, he leaves. And Dougal automatically thinks that he's taken her to basically force her to be his wife, right? We all
Right.
know what that means. So he doesn't even wait to consult with Colum. He just darts out of there. And of course, his loyal men follow him. And he just starts beating Malcolm Grant to like a pulp. So to Doreen's point, that would be an example where the Grants would see him acting kind of in a hot-headed way without, because he didn't even like talk to Malcolm. He pulled him off his horse and just started beating him. Like, where is she at?
Right. Right.
So that, I guess that would be an example too. And then clans could talk to each other,
And look, here's what I'll say to that. And does it make it right? No. Is he rash? Absolutely. Is he hot-headed? I'm not going to disagree with that. But when it comes to protection, and at that time, like even today, women expect men to be like jump right in and protect them. When it happens, then you're ready to rip them apart because they overthought and that they're jumping right in. Go ahead, Doreen. What do you I can see it on your face.
Actually, I was processing what you said and I let you finish the sentence and then I agreed with it.
So let's move on to this. I've said this before. In war, someone has to do the hard things, the dirty things that no one else will. Dougal believes so strongly in his cause that he's willing to bear that burden. I would almost even argue that Colum was too weak in really saying we need to stand up to the English. Now I understand there's a lot of things that are in play when it comes to standing up against the crown, but Dougal is out there doing the hard work. He's the tax collector, he's the rent collector. He's seeing the side effects of what British rule is doing to the people. Colum is actually just sitting up there, very lavish. He's got books, he's got birds, he's got rugs, he is confined to that room. So he doesn't get to see a firsthand view of their homes being burnt or women being, raped or anything like that. And now you'll probably think, well, Dougal has no empathy. To me, that's like the biggest thing for a narcissist, to be void of empathy. So let's go into let's go into that.
I think that a lot of Column's decisions are the fact that he kind of barely became layered, right? Like that was a huge scandal when Jacob died, and I feel like he always lives in fear of something like that happening again, maybe. So he has to portray this big strong appearance to kind of intimidate. And I feel like maybe it is him being scared, but I I don't know. I think he just wouldn't want to chance fighting the English, and because he just got the clan together, if that makes any sense at all. Like it hasn't been that long since he's kind of stitched the clan back together after his father died. And so I would imagine he wouldn't want to risk
Well, we're
losing
20
that
years
going
later
to
though in the
war.
books. That's the only thing. Like you're
Right.
talking blood of my blood. So now we're
Well,
20
no,
years later. Wait,
but I
Doreen?
mean that still sits with him though,
Yes,
because
agreed.
a lot of Dougal's decision making results from the things that Jacob instilled in him, which weren't good things.
I
My
think
only thing though
Liz,
is I'm trying not to lean into blood of my blood because we don't know what's canon yet.
Yeah,
okay.
So
that's true.
Liz,
I
did
mean,
you
that's
yeah.
have
true.
something? Liz, did you have something to say? Yeah, I saw you have your hand up.
Yes, I did. I see Dougal through two different lenses. I see him through the lens of politics, right? We talk a lot about him being so incredibly patriotic to his country, to Scotland. And I think when you talk about Dougal in that way, exactly as you are describing him, Jenny, he fits the bill for someone who loves their country and would do anything to lay themselves down and do what is necessary to fight for what they feel is right for the greater good. But then I also see Dougal as the king of all narcissists, because there's a side of him that does things only for himself, to benefit himself. Not that he's not thinking about other people in the process, but he's putting himself first. And I think a lot of the things he does with the men that follow him is he puts a lot of fear in them, that they might be afraid to say no because they know he's a walking volcano and he could erupt at any time, and they do not want to poke the bear, right, in that instance. So I see him through two different lenses, and I'm fully on board with the way you're describing him, like from a political standpoint. I absolutely see that. I just think he is the king of all narcissists. I do.
All right, what, Doreen? You're fine.
Okay, I don't want to. I want to hear the rest of everything that you put
Yeah,
together
because
because I'm
well, I want to
actually
finish my
really,
whole thing.
yes, finish
I
it
have a
and then
lot
I'm
here.
going to come back. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So let's start where I left off. All right. Narcissism. One of the big traits is lack of empathy. I'm going to disagree that he absolutely has empathy. In the book and the show, he shows actual emotional bonds with people. In the books, although Angus doesn't exist, Rupert does. After Rupert is mortally injured in the church, he actually is the one to give him a soldier's death, and he weeps in Jamie and Claire's arms. He's shaken by this. This is one of his men. So to say that he's devoid of empathy isn't really true. When Geordie is gored at the Bortenschel, he again gives that man the proper death, and he sits with him until he dies. Even in the show, he is shown to reveal like stories to Geordie about his sister Doreen. And, a narcissist would just continue to lie. They would never tell you that they were wrong. So again, I just think it's the word that winds up being like a buzzword, and people are like, "Oh, he has to be a narcissist," and I'm just breaking that down. Okay, a true narcissist would not show this kind of grief and human connection. He's hot tempered, he's rash, but he's not devoid of empathy. He is a nut because he is who he is, and it doesn't change. But I will leave room to open him up as an onion when we get the prequel books. Because we don't know what has come. And when we talked about before, Katie, like I'm trying not to lean in too much to Blood of My Blood, the show, because we don't know what's canon. Time of war, he has to do the hard things that no one else does. He believes so strongly in his cause that he's willing to bear that burden. Take the infamous moment in the tavern when he exposes Jamie's scars. Was it a humiliating move? Absolutely. But strategically, it was absolutely the right move. If you were a Scot on the fence about whether to fight or submit, seeing Jamie's back would make the decision for you. It wasn't about the shock value. It was about showing the stakes of the cause. When Jamie walked into any room, he commands a presence. In this moment, this giant of a man was now vulnerable and embarrassed. It showed the English could even break this warrior. You have to remember, being the rent man, Dougal saw the devastation the English left behind. Colum didn't. Now, I'm not faulting Colum for this. It's just that his view was limited and easier to make decisions without seeing the devastation firsthand. So again, I believe Dougal had great empathy for people. It's just he's stoic about it, and that was very common for men of that time. Colum and Dougal. If Dougal were truly a narcissist, he would have never bent the knee to Colum. He would have walked away. Remember, he had his own home. Instead, he remained loyal to Colum and carried out the clan work that his brother couldn't do because of his disability. He respected Colum's leadership even when they clashed. I'd go so far as to even argue that Colum might be a narcissist as well, ensuring that he had a male heir by using his wife to do with his brother what he couldn't. He had the power position over both of them. Hold on, I'm going to finish this all out. Another thing to add, this is when Claire puts together that Dougal is actually Hamish's father. This is the excerpt from the book. His head snapped round and he glared at me. He raised his thick dark brows, the same shape as Colum's, as Jamie's, as Hamish's. The deepest eyes, the broad cheekbones, the beautifully shaped skull. Old Jacob Mackenzie's legacy was a strong one. A big hand clamped hard on my shoulder. My brother? You think I would betray my brother? For some reason that had stung him. His face was dark with anger. That is him in his soul. I get he's a character that stirs a lot of emotion, but he's loyal to his brother. Okay, Liz, you're going to fall out of your chair. Go ahead.
I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you said that about Column. Oh my gosh.
What?
Okay. I
I can go first.
Go ahead.
First,
Go
should we
ahead.
all say if we agree on the nut category? Do we all agree on him being a nut?
Yes. Yes.
I do.
Yes.
I
Okay.
agree that with what Jenny said, that he's a nut, but whenever we see more of him as Diana puts out the prequel, we'll
Mm-hmm.
really get maybe of where he becomes an onion when we see more of his past.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can I go, or Liz, you want to go?
No, you go ahead.
I'm still not done, by the way, just so you all know.
I
I
just want
got
to say
more.
something really. Oh, okay, Jenny, go ahead. Finish then. Finish. Because
All right. So
I got a lot.
okay. All right. So I just don't think we can call Dougal a narcissist without calling them all narcissists because all of their actions were to advance their own cause, including Jamie. Even when Claire begins to understand why Jamie is seen as a problem, it's not just Dougal that wants to see him dead, it's Colum as well. When Jamie is explaining to Claire the intricacies of filling Colum's shoes, I quote, he smiled briefly at the thought. No, even if I felt myself entitled to it, meaning the lairdship, which I don't, it would split the clan. Dougal's men against those that might follow me. I have no the taste for power or the cost of the other men's blood. But Dougal and Colum could not be sure of that, could they? So they might think it's safer just to kill me than to take the risk. Again, the killing of Jamie is solely put on Dougal when it's truly Colum as well. Interestingly, I started wondering whether Diana had created Dougal or Colum first. From what I can tell, Dougal came first. And she probably created Colum after that to try to even him out and then splitting the lairdship. So, due to Blood of My Blood, we've seen a lot of videos and a lot of chatter that Jamie is so much like his father. And I personally don't see that. I've also seen people saying he's much like Ellen. I'm going to go one step further, and you're not going to like it. He's Dougal. He's just packaged differently. He's cleaned up. He taught Jamie how to fight with a sword. He taught him to become a warrior. I think we can all agree that although being a Fraser, he's a Mackenzie. I'd even argue that Jamie and Dougal share many traits, down to the women who love them fiercely, who are headstrong. Only Jamie's are packaged more neatly. Without Claire's influence, Jamie might have become exactly like Dougal. I believe had Colin died prior to the beginning of the Rising, and had Claire not arrived, Dougal would have been made laird. He never has a problem convincing people to follow him. Jamie didn't fully come into his own until well after Claire showed up. Dougal helped shape Jamie into the person he is, and yes, he's become a formidable rival. I do believe Dougal could have handled Jamie, maybe even making him into the next war chief while he's laird, knowing that it comes with less authority of having the final word, but Claire's arrival shaped him into a different person and the actual threat. It's worth remembering that Dougal was also forced into marriage like his sisters, but no one feels bad for him. I can't wait for these stories to unfold in Diana's books. Despite his flaws, Dougal inspires loyalty because they recognize his passion, his willingness to suffer alongside of them, something that we see in Jamie. Am I mistaken? And his belief that the greater good outweighs personal comfort. He's messy, he's volatile, and yet people are still loyal to him. Final thoughts. I'm not comfortable with just labeling him a flat out narcissist. I think it's much deeper than that. I don't think there is much of an arc with his character from what we're seeing right now, but I'll leave that open to the book. He's layered, he's conflicted. I'm not going to call him an onion yet. I still think we need more background on him in Diana's upcoming books. He's sometimes brutal, sometimes tender, but always true to his convictions. He loved Jamie, but Claire's presence shifted the balance between them. His men followed him not because he was perfect, but because they believed in him, whether his choices were unpopular. And when it came to fighting against the British, you needed someone who believed in a free Scotland like Dougal. The end. So there you go.
I thought
I
Frank
just
was going
have
to be the controversy today. Okay.
I just have like a few points that I want to, and
Yeah.
then listen, Doreen, I know you probably are ready to go. First thing, you had said that you don't think that he used Jamie's back as like a shock value. I think he did, and I think
No,
that was the
not that
whole
it wasn't
point.
shock value. Yeah, it was the point. I agree with that.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
thought you
I'm
said
just
no.
saying
And
the way we see it, it was meant to show that even this giant has been made vulnerable and embarrassed by the Brits. And this, if we can break this man, so it wasn't done to embarrass Jamie. It was to show the embarrassment he had now because of the violence shown towards him from the British, if that
okay,
makes
can I
sense.
say something to this point real
Yep.
quick? Because I agree with 100% with what you're saying. I don't think it was done. I think it was done, but how hard would it have been to have the conversation with Jamie and let Jamie make that decision for himself and to show it in his own way? Instead of just,
Okay.
because
Well,
So
you
and
see Jamie come back
one.
and say, okay, let me do it myself, but not the first time.
So here's the thing. You're not going to get that emotion in that moment was what he wanted to show the people in the pub. Look how
So he's a
embarrassed this giant
narcissist,
of a man is. No, I don't think so.
But
Because
but
he
he
he's
did that
still
at the
still
literally,
shows
cost of his
empathy.
nephew.
I'm not hearing anything.
okay. Liz
I didn't
said
hear
he did
Liz
it
I
at
didn't
the
hear
say.
cost of
anything.
his nephew.
Again, the
Yeah,
greater good, saving Scotland, is more important than personal comfort. And that is something that Jamie carries through. Jamie will say, I have to be a leader among my men, not over my men.
Okay.
I I think that is where it shows that he doesn't have empathy, because he's not caring how his nephew feels. He put, to me, Dougal solely, I think if you could sum Dougal up in a sentence, it's Dougal does what Dougal wants, and Dougal puts his wants and needs above everything else, including the clan,
So,
including anyone he cares about. And I, like Liz said, that came at the expense of his nephew. So I feel like I do see what you're saying. Like with Geordie and stuff, he did have empathy. He gave them, but I solely think that's maybe not because he cared, but he saw them as a fellow soldier, and that's the way he would want to go, if that makes sense, which I guess you could argue that's empathy. But yeah, I don't know. I think he didn't have empathy with Jamie showing his back.
Okay.
like I
I
said, I see it as him having to show Jamie's true reaction to how embarrassed he is of his back, to show the people, if he can be broken, you can only imagine what's going to happen to you if we don't gather troops.
My
Go
next
ahead,
point
Doreen.
was,
Oh, okay, go ahead.
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, finish.
My
no, you
next
go,
point,
Katie.
my next point was, you said that he's loyal to Colin because he kind of bent the knee and, swore the oath to Colin. Which I don't disagree with you that he's loyal. I think he is loyal to the people he wants to be loyal to. So I don't disagree with you. I just think personally, he knew that was the only way he would get some sort of power, was by sharing the lairdship with Colum. I think
But he
that
could
he
have had
knew
his
that's the
own
best he was
clan.
going to get.
He had his
I
own
don't think
home.
he
He
would
could
have
have
had his
left at
own
any point.
clan. He could have, but he
I
doesn't
No,
want to
know.
just
because
rule. He doesn't just want to rule a home. He wants the lairdship. He wants to be the big dog on top. And he knew, based on what had happened with Malcolm Grant, people were never going to let him be laird by himself. And so I think he knew that's the only way that he was going to get the power that he was looking for. But I don't disagree
Okay.
with you. He is loyal to
Yeah,
Colum. He is loyal to Colum. And in his own ways, he is. Colum tells him to do something and he does, even if he doesn't
he
like
does
it.
it.
So he is loyal to Colum, but I feel like in that instance, the only reason he gave the oath was because he was like, well, at least I get some sort of power too that comes with it.
Well, aren't we all like that? Don't we all do that? Don't we get something out of friendships? Don't we get that out of other people? You gravitate towards people who enhance you. Like, that may sound really crappy, but it's the truth in human nature. I'm not going to hang out with people that make me feel worse. I'm going to hang out with people that make me feel better. So we all have that trait within us.
But but I don't think I would be friends with someone to get something, if that makes sense. Like for Dougal, in instance, I'm saying like he did it to get power, and I wouldn't be friends with someone to get something from them. It would be like a mutual thing that we are sharing, right? Where I don't think Dougal
Right.
had that same outlook, if that makes sense.
And I'll say that he's no different from any other clan in that area. He's no different from his own brother. His brother fought just as hard from what we're seeing. And again, I'm trying not to pull that in, but he wanted the lairdship just as much. And are we giving him a pass because he has Toulouse-Lautrec? And do we see him as weaker because of that? You know, do we just see Dougal bigger and scarier because of Column's stature? Go ahead, Doreen. I know you're dying to.
No, I'm just
No.
processing.
I don't know whether, like, between Lord John Grey and Dougal, I may have broken Doreen. I'm not sure.
Okay. Jenny, you made some really good points. Honestly, I was not expecting you to come as prepared to discuss Daddy Dougal as
I
you
really
were.
feel like people underestimate me here.
But it wasn't you. I
No,
was
I get
not
that.
I was not surprised at you. I was surprised at all of the information you had for him because I don't think about Dougal in that way. I don't
Right.
feel like he's that deep. I see him as a surface level narcissist, and I understand that there are certain things that he has done that can express empathy for some people's opinions. And every single thing that he does, I feel like I am able to see what he did for himself, what the motivation was for himself. But that's also just me and maybe the way I see his character based on life experiences or people that I know that are like him, right? We all bring preconceived notions and life experience to the characters that we are reading. But you did a phenomenal job. I'm really proud of you. You did amazing.
Is it my turn?
It is your
Yes.
turn, Doreen.
Okay, here we go. First of all, the absolute nerve to compare Jamie Fraser to Dougal is
Yes.
wild business. Wild
Prove
business.
me wrong.
But
Prove me
I
wrong.
will, girl, I will prove you wrong on so many levels. It's not even funny. Okay. And I don't even have one note on Dougal. This is just going to be my own. First of all, I will give you that they have a shit ton of similarities in the sense that they're both warriors.
Yeah.
Dougal has people who follow him and are loyal to him because he inspires fear. Okay? Jamie has people that are loyal to him and follow him because he inspires loyalty and love, because he shows respect.
Why
He
though?
shows
Because
why?
Claire showed up.
Bullshit. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Before Claire ever showed up, way back in freaking Virgin's novella, okay, Jamie is inspiring the loyalty of freaking Ian, who the Murrays are a strong clan, and he follows him. He's his on your left, okay, because Jamie inspires him, because Jamie instills in people, I love you, and if you are one of my people, if I bring you in, I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to lay down my life for you. And Claire certainly brings it to another level, but even the way that for his own sister, that he took the lashings, he went to prison because he was not going to allow Blackjack Randall to do these things to Jenny. That was way before Claire ever came. Dougal would never do that.
Oh, I would disagree with that
don't even go there. I
wholeheartedly.
know where you're going.
I
I
would
know where you're
disagree with
going.
it.
The only reason that he did this for Ellen is because it was self-serving his agenda. And I know that you're saying we don't have any source material. And girl, I will preach that to every choir because in my opinion, if it's not in a book, it's not canon. Okay.
Right.
But we do know in the books that the first rising, like for Dougal, from the first rising to the second rising, he gathered support because of fear. And we know that I will literally go back and get contextual evidence one after another, proving that all of those men fear him. Jamie never had people fear him ever. And that has nothing to do with Claire. They feared him because of him being a warrior, but not that if they crossed him, he would freaking kill them. Look what he did for letting Lord John go. By all intents and purposes, he should have killed him. But he didn't. That had no impact. He wasn't even in love with Claire. I mean, he was. They were married, but it wasn't like Claire had changed him at his core yet.
In what part? I don't know what part you're talking about.
When he first encounters Lord John. When
Oh,
Lord
right,
John
right.
is... Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know.
no.
I'm not saying he didn't kill him. Obviously, he didn't kill him. I don't know that in the same position that Dougal would have.
No,
But we
okay.
see him kill Jeremy Foster just out of spite in the show. I mean, I don't think that's in the books, but you know, he kills him just out of spite.
Right, and again, so we mesh the two. So
No.
where Dougal in the is much more fierce in the show, I think.
Okay, but they're both hot-tempered. They're both Scottish. They're both warriors, okay? But Jamie reins it in. And he shows reason. He shows self-control.
I'm not going to disagree with any of that. I'm just saying that Dougal has a much bigger impact on his life than most people will give him credit for.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I think it's wildly insane. I'm not saying you're insane because I respect you on a very deep level. And you did raise some really thought-provoking points that I had never thought about.
Yeah.
But it is so wildly insane to think that Jamie would have been Dougal if Claire never came along. I can't no.
Yeah,
I do think Jamie is impacted by Dougal a lot, and he shares a lot of that fiery Mackenzie trait. But I think that Ellen and Brian are both in there, and Brian shows a lot of compassion and
Agreed.
a lot of...
Agreed from what we're seeing. Yep. He's much more
Dougal
soft.
Right, and Dougal doesn't have any of that. I could argue everything that Dougal does is self-serving, just like Liz said.
Yeah, and like I said, I just see it from a clan survival point of view. Again,
no, he doesn't. But the clan surviving is because it needs to survive so that he can fund the Jacobite Rising, which is his own self-serving agenda.
But is it his own self-serving, so that doesn't help anybody in Scotland by him having this as his core belief that Scotland should be free? How is that self-serving?
But why does he want... Because he wants clans to be back in power. Like, you're not going to tell me, if the Rising was successful, I don't think he would have just had no problem overthrowing Colum and being in power and like, I started this Rising, I funded it, I'm in charge of all these clans now, I'm the king.
Well, I mean, we also knew that Colum had limited time left, so it would have been one of the other. So Dougal would have been made Laird.
And that's why he wanted to get rid of Jamie. Like, yeah, okay, great. He's got empathy for Geordie when he's dying, but he also took a freaking axe to the back of his nephew's head.
But was he given that command from Colum?
I don't care if somebody told me to hit my nephew on the back of the head with an axe.
Yeah, but we're talking.
I don't like Colum.
You're talking 21st century mind thought. We're discussing 1700s when people actually went to battle like hand-to-hand combat. This is like,
I agree with you.
Yeah, so we can't see it from today's perspective.
I agree with you, but obviously I can't say what my lens would be because I've never existed in the 1700s.
Right.
So you're right. Yes, I 100% concede to that point. However, I don't think. I think it's who you are as a core person. Because even when you tackle the really, really difficult topics of Outlander, such as slavery, Jamie was a 1700s man, but he could still reason and understand what Claire was saying, and he showed the compassion for that and gave up owning River Run, which would have been a legacy for him because he did not want slaves. And I know what you're going to say. That's Claire's influence.
Yeah, it is.
But that's fine. But if Claire and Dougal would have gotten together, Dougal never would have bowed to Claire's influence because he is not capable. And that is the difference
And I
between
disagree
him
with
and
that
Jamie.
too. I disagree with that
Oh,
too.
no,
When
no.
I first watched Outlander, I actually thought the love interest was going to be Claire and Dougal because there was chemistry on screen in that moment. I didn't know anything about the story. When he
Yeah, I
walked,
can
like,
see that.
yeah. So when we first see Claire, and I just had this conversation with somebody within comments on TikTok, Claire to me was a mother figure to Jamie in the beginning. And yeah,
Really?
that's how I saw it. Like she really helped him grow, and she was more of a mother figure in the beginning. Leary was his equal, and now we're really getting off topic, so I'll try to keep it. Leary was really where he was supposed to be, and Claire she was older, she was teaching him things, she just seemed more of a mother figure to me. So I would argue
I
that she would be an equal to Dougal. Dougal looked for fiery women. That was right up his alley. We see that with Galis.
I
Yeah,
Like he
but he
think
wanted
had
a
both.
challenge.
no problem just dumping Galis and his child off with a whole nother family
Okay,
because
so
it served him.
they also knew that the Jacobite War was coming at some point. He now has a woman who's going to be burned at the stake. Now, I'm not saying that Galis is wrapped tight at all, but she was supposed to be burnt at the stake. What are you going to do with this child now? The best case scenario is to give it to a family who wanted a child, who had just lost a child. He wasn't going to raise the child. Colin was like, get her out of here. I want nothing to do with her. You're not bringing her back here. You're not bringing a baby back here.
But
So,
Jamie wouldn't do that. That's my whole point. Like, I'm not arguing with you that Claire makes Jamie better. I agree with that. And I think that's Claire's role.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is comparing Dougal and Jamie to that point is like, okay, then in theory, Galis would have made him better. Jamie would have been okay. If Claire didn't have the option of going back through the stones, Jamie, I don't care. He would have left with her and brought her somewhere safe.
Mm-hmm.
He would have sent her somewhere and their child safe. And whatever he had to do, I truly believe that.
so,
Dougal proved that he would not do that.
so did he not send her off to France?
Yeah, but he could have sent her off to France as Melisandre with their baby,
He
and
also
he
he sent her away just like Jamie sent Claire away. Again, we're same scenario. Maybe not exactly, but it's the same thing. So again, best case scenario for that baby, not a woman on the run as a mother, but to put the baby with a family that was going to care for it. And again, I'm not saying Dougal is like, oh my God, he's the most amazing character. I'm just saying he is way more complex than people give him credit for. And when we get this backstory, which as we've seen in Blood of My Blood, if this ends up being canon, he's an onion and people aren't going to like it. But he is much, yeah, same, I don't know, same
okay,
story, sent her away, just like Claire.
okay, yeah, I can see your point
Give me
there.
give
I
me your
can.
back.
I mean,
Give me
I
another
think,
response.
okay, so related to Claire mothering Jamie, I mean, in Claire's defense, she had just recently come out of a war. She was used to being a caretaker. She was used to being in that position. She was used to caring for men who had parts of their bodies, blown off or cut open or hurt. And so the first thing that she sees is that this poor young man with a dislocated shoulder in extreme pain. She jumps into action right away. She helps him, she heals him, and I don't really see it as mothering him. That's just my opinion. I really see like a friendship, like a camaraderie between the two of them starting to form. And we know later that that's because underneath whatever was on the surface, they were already being pulled to each other in a way that they could not explain. So I just see that differently. And I think related to Jamie and Dougal, I think Jamie lives his life with a moral compass. And I think Dougal does not. I don't think Dougal has a moral
Well,
compass. And
most of
that's
Jamie's
just that's just how
decisions
I
are
feel, and it doesn't
based.
make it right.
Most of Jamie's decisions for Claire are based on Claire. So why does it make him not? he's just as selfish for what he wants.
Because I think
Claire is
even
more important to me
before,
than anyone else in the world.
But
but I
Dougal puts
think even before
himself.
Claire came
You know what I
into
mean?
the
Like
He
Jamie's
didn't.
picture,
thinking of another person.
Dougal's thinking of his child. Dougal's sending Galus for protection in France. So how, again, I think we have this overly
No, it's
romantic thought of Jamie. And I'm not saying I don't love Jamie's character. I love all of the characters. I really do. I just think we have this
but
overly
but
romanticized picture.
Jamie,
I honestly don't disagree with you that Jamie is over romanticized. And I've said this before. I've done many videos on it, that book Jamie and show Jamie are very different characters. And I
Yes,
do think that
agreed.
the show really does build up the romanticism of him and takes away the fact that
100%.
he is a 17th century freaking Highlander.
Can I add to that? Because that's a
Yeah.
really good point. Whenever season 7, part 2 came out and he punched Lord John, I had a huge issue with him beating him to a bloody pulp because I was like, okay, one punch warranted, two punches warranted. Like,
The
you
third one,
don't need to like beat him until he, like, his eye socket is, you know, his eye is out of his head or whatever. So I'm like, that really shocked me. And then I heard people saying, this is how Jamie is in the books. And I
Mm-hmm.
yep,
think you're
agreed.
exactly correct that the show has kind of softened him and
Overly,
made
yes.
him more digestible.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now I'm reading in the books, I'm on book 3, and I'm like, he's kind of a brute sometimes.
Yes,
Like he's kind
Yes.
of
absolutely.
like
Look,
Yeah.
yeah.
let's throw in William's mother. That's a totally different play out in the books than it is in the
Mm-hmm.
show. You
She
know,
does change her mind and she says no.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that, and he also whips Claire,
Well,
for
Yeah.
and even when they are even when Claire, I just read this part this week, when Claire and Jamie are having the fight over Leary, it's not, it is like it is in the show where he kisses her and she slaps him and all that, but he becomes extremely possessive of her in a physical way.
yes, and it
He
happens
bites her,
throughout the
like
Mm-hmm.
show,
he
throughout the
leaves,
book.
he leaves bruises on her. He like claims her as his, and we didn't see that in the show. So when I was reading that, I was like, holy crap,
Yeah,
Jamie, like
totally
this is
different
a
person.
different Jamie. Yeah.
So, and again, so really where I'm coming from with all of this is really trying to stay true to book characters versus show, because I freaking love Graham McTavish. I mean, like I think he's
Oh yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
I think
but
and that's what's I'm trying to get out of my head.
I don't disagree with me, and I preach this to the choir all the time, that like the freaking books and the show have to be separated. The characters are completely different.
Mm-hmm.
But and I don't disagree that Dougal is likely going to have more layers. I mean, he's a hard nut to me, and I think we all agree with that. His relevance is kind of locked in history. It's to move the plot forward. It's about the Jacobite Rising. It's about his place in Clan Mackenzie, where I just got so over the top upset about is the comparison to him and Jamie, in the sense that whether it's Claire's influence or not, Jamie does evolve. Jamie does learn restraint. Jamie does act with compassion, and it's always there in his personality, and Claire just brings it to the forefront. To
That I'll
your
agree,
point,
because I do. I think it's more of her influence that has to pull
right,
this out, because Katie just said, like, throughout the book, he's a little bit more of a brute, and you
right,
will see
but
that continue. Go ahead.
to that's to your point, but to disagree, to counteract your point, is that yes, Dougal has moments of empathy, and yes, we can even say, okay, he did the same thing, he sent Galus off, but at his core, even though he has these brief little moments of doing a decent thing, he always reverts back to being self-serving and to his own causes and his own motivations.
As we all do.
I don't, but okay.
But like, so you don't think that in your core you're going to protect yourself?
No, and in fact, I'm in therapy trying to like learn how to not put everyone else above myself.
Look, I
And
go with that too. We have talked about this, offline. I'm just saying, without diving too deep into that, I don't think he's any different than anybody else. At the end of the day, Jamie puts his needs for Claire above everything else. So why is it different for Dougal?
Okay.
I think
I
this is
guess
I
no.
think this is a agree to disagree
Yeah,
kind
I
of.
agree.
Yeah.
And look, we still got a lot more to go here. So
I thought this was going to be the easy character. I'm not going to lie.
I
I'm
did
sorry.
too.
I'm sorry.
Once again, this episode went so much longer than we thought it would. Unfortunately, we are going to have to split this into a 3-part episode. So tune back in for the last part of this series.
We will see you in the space between.
And until next time, stay Outlander unhinged.